And good afternoon, Browns fans. How we doing out there? We're here to talk about the Browns. We're here to talk about the amazing things that the Browns are doing. Can you hear the sarcasm in my voice? You probably can. Let's start off with a quote. A quote from 92.3 The Fan. What are the Browns doing? Come on, Cleveland. It's annoying. This is annoying. Did something happen with Sanders where they feel like he needs to be demoted? How can he get demoted when you haven't even played? That's great. That's a great quote. How can you get demoted when you haven't even played? It's the question that we all have. If you're just tuning in, we're talking about the Browns and the recent developments at the quarterback position. It's all we can talk about. But recently, Kevin Stefanski and the rest of the Brown staff had a press conference, and someone asked Kevin Stefanski if he would be willing to make Shedeur Sanders the backup quarterback, the number two. He basically said no. He said no without saying no. Why would he say no? I was talking to a coworker, and he said it's because of that preseason game with the Panthers. He was holding the ball too long. You can't get sacked. Sack equals, loss of yards and downs. And I'm like, okay. So, but are they giving him the opportunities to actually step up and do better? I don't think they are. And to go off of one preseason game or preseason game and a half, because that's all they gave him. The reason why Shedeur Sanders isn't developed is because the Browns don't want him developed. That's it, guys. The Browns don't want him developed. They don't care. That's the issue that we're having right now, is that the Browns believe in Dylan Gabriel. They don't believe in Shedeur Sanders. And it's the reason why they have the Bailey Zapps and the Joe Flaccos who are now traded, or the Deshaun Watsons. But that's a different story, Deshaun. But still, Shedeur hasn't even been given the opportunity to actually be a starter. And it's a slap in the face, to say, we want to give our quarterbacks the most time to develop and not be thrown out there too soon. That's a load of BS. That's literally a load of BS from Kevin Stefanski. If you wanted to develop Shedeur, you would have developed him in a manner that made sense. You wouldn't have almost 7 quarterbacks on your roster. They didn't have 7 quarterbacks at one time, but it's like a revolving door. And he would have been made the backup to get backup reps. But instead, during the preseason and training camp, he's getting third string reps. And even then, he was competing with another quarterback, Kenny Pickett. So it doesn't make sense. If you want to develop a guy, you put him out there and you give him an opportunity to be developed and to show you. But the Browns really don't know what they're doing. Kevin Stefanski admitted to finding out that Joe Flacco was going to be traded the day of, like everybody else, so they're adjusting. If you've seen the video with Kevin Stefanski, it's in my other clip, and he talks about giving Shedeur the right amount of time to be developed before he just throws him out there. And by the end of this week, he will know. Kevin, it's week 6. You got to already know, man. You have to already know. And it's sad that you don't know. To all my Browns fans in the chat, go ahead and drop a dog in there. Woof, 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 woof. I am a little bit nervous about our upcoming game this Sunday against the Steelers. The Steelers, like the Browns, chose a veteran quarterback. The difference is their quarterback is better. The veteran quarterback is better, and he's playing better. I know people are concerned about their defense, but the Steelers are a better team right now. The Browns don't even know their butt from their head. Let's be for real. So, the Browns are 1-4. We beat Green Bay by pure luck, but we're still a talented team. And what makes it frustrating, what makes this process frustrating, is that it doesn't seem that the coaching staff knows what's going on. And maybe Kevin Stefanski doesn't have full control. Because if he had full control, they would have never drafted Shedeur Sanders anyway. They drafted him just because he was there. He was just there. He was available, so they drafted him. That's literally what they said. And they were surprised that they drafted him. That's why he was in the 5th round, the 144 draft player in the NFL. Period. And they wanted Dillon Gabriel. And that's why they went for Dillon Gabriel. And that's why Dillon Gabriel gets the first team reps. I'm on X right now, and on X they literally talk about Dillon Gabriel, the only one that's getting first team reps right now. And him and Bailey Zappe and Shedeur Sanders are on the opposite field getting second team reps. And they're purposely doing that right now because they don't want the public to know who's the second or third quarterback. Honestly, I believe Bailey Zappe will be the backup on Sunday. Just because Kevin Stefanski doesn't believe in Shedeur, never wanted Shedeur. And this is the reason why Shedeur is where he's at right now. I follow Mary Kay Cabot, or Cabot. I think it's Cabot, but she, Cabot, maybe. But I follow her on X, and she interviews Shedeur a lot. And she just posted an article right now saying why Browns QB Shedeur Sanders might be best served by remaining QB3 at least in the short term. So this is definitely an opinion piece, but a lot of people believe that Shedeur Sanders is going to be QB3, especially from the statements from Kevin Stefanski in this week's press conference. It's really a slap in the face. People are concerned that they're giving up Joe Flacco, and Joe Flacco's great, and Joe Flacco, would have made a difference. Some people believe that made a difference on our team, and they think it's stupid that we gave our rival an asset. Honestly, I don't. For us, Joe Flacco's not an asset. Cincinnati Bengals really need a quarterback, and Brownie isn't getting it done. But how do we know Joe Flacco's going to make a difference? The Cincinnati Bengals are going to make that decision. But personally, I think we've seen enough of Joe Flacco. They have Bailey Zappe, they have Shedeur Sanders, and they have Dillon Gabriel, and they have Deshaun Watson. We don't need all those quarterbacks. One of those guys should pan out. And there's also talk around the town is maybe Kevin Stefanski doesn't know how to develop quarterbacks. I can see that. I mean, look at Baker Mayfield. People didn't like Baker Mayfield, and they said it was his attitude, and he wasn't right for the culture. But I love Baker, and I didn't really get that. And we went to the playoffs with Baker further than we ever been with any other quarterback. And now Baker, people are questioning if Baker is the MVP of the NFL because how he's performing right now with the Buccaneers. And I love to see him win. It's great to see Baker do his thing and win. So congrats to him. I wish him the best. But I don't think we should have got rid of Baker. We could have kept building around him and getting a better offensive lineman. Could you imagine Baker Mayfield with Quinshon Judkins? And again, I talk about this a lot in my videos, but Jerry Jeudy, he's not the caliber of skill that we need. He needs to really step it up, and at this point, he really needs to be benched. So I don't understand why we're not seeing that from the coaching staff, and what do they see that we're not seeing that they keep giving them chance after chance? It doesn't make sense to me at all. What does make sense to me is to keep throwing the ball to Harry Fanner Jr., David Njoku, giving the ball to Quinshon Judkins. But we got to find that. We got to find the next man. Isaiah Bond, I've been hearing some things about him last Sunday, and I guess he did fairly decent. But I really question how the Browns are preparing for this next week. And with all this talk about not knowing who the backup is and not knowing who the number 2 is, really makes me nervous. We should, if it's not Shedeur, it's not Shedeur. I'm starting to think that the Brown staff care about what the media is saying. If it's not Shedeur, it's not Shedeur. If you feel better having Bailey Zappe there, then put him there and stop concerning yourself with it and move on. I think that the team looks over decisions too long, and we're suffering because of it. And they're making the wrong decisions. One wrong decision that I think they're going to make pretty soon is putting Deshaun Watson back in. But what choice do they have? They've paid the man almost $240 million. So it's like driving a car that's paid for, not driving a car that's paid for. Doesn't make any sense. You should probably drive that car. And at some point, I could see them driving that car because the Browns don't know what they're doing. I saw someone online say that they have to play Deshaun because even if they don't keep him, they need to show that he's worth something to another team. Honestly, for me, I've seen enough of Deshaun. I mean, he got hurt in both his starts, and he wasn't that good when he was in. During those times, we still had Nick Chubb. So. But again, does Kevin Stefanski know how to develop a quarterback? But does a quarterback like Deshaun Watson still need development? I mean, he's a veteran in the league. We got him because of what he did in Texas. But I just think that acquisition was a bad choice anyway. It doesn't make any sense at all.